But we have something in common. We've both been obsessed with consciousness our whole lives. I did a PhD in neurophysiology, and I don't think I understood consciousness any more when I finished the degree than when I started the degree. Why is consciousness so baffling?
Because it's everything we have, all we are. So when I need to talk about consciousness, like now, I always say, what is it first, so we understand what it is. And as I said, it is everything. I define it as what goes away in the evening when you go to sleep and comes back the next morning when you wake up. And sometimes it comes back during the night when you dream. So consciousness is all we experience. And now, of course, if you eliminate experience from everything else, nothing is left as far as each of us is concerned. So experience means all the sounds and sights of life. It means all the feelings you might have had, will have, all the thoughts, all the wishes. Of course, it means yourself, your friends, your country, your place in the world. Everything is an experience. There's nothing but an experience for each of us. So that's consciousness. And if we weren't in a way for sleep and sometimes for anesthesia, we probably wouldn't even know that it is such an extraordinary gift, how else to call it. Meaning, if it weren't there, for each of us, there would be nothing at all. In fact, none of us would exist in a fundamental sense.
So why do some philosophers claim that consciousness is an illusion?
That is something best left to themselves, because as I will always emphasize, this consciousness that I have an experience right now is the only thing we are absolutely sure of. You know, Descartes famously said that I think, therefore I am, but he really meant, or at least I would translate it these days, as I am conscious, therefore I am. That's the only thing each of us is sure of. Everything else is an inference. That you are conscious is an inference. I suspect you are because you look like me and you act like me. But all I know for sure is my consciousness. So if a philosopher tells me that it's an illusion, I say, well, it's the only illusion there is, and maybe illusion is all we have.
All right, but there's some factual basis to that claim, because what seems to me to be a unified sense of visuals in this beautiful, strange place we're in, the smells, the sounds are all integrated together in one experience. But if I had hit on the brain, or I had a trauma or a stroke, any one of these can be knocked out. And so pieces of this could disappear. And the claim is that we have all these independent systems that are unified in some interesting way for maybe evolutionary purposes, but in fact they're all coming together, and because of that, it's an illusion that I have this unified sense of consciousness when it's all these independent activities that somehow get unified together.
Well, it's not an illusion at all. As I said, it's the only thing that is, I like to say, really real. Okay? So if you want to call what's real an illusion, that's up to you. But I think we have to stick with the notion that consciousness is the one thing we're absolutely sure about. Now, within that, there is an intriguing phenomenon that was pointed out by Schopenhauer. So if you start from consciousness, at some point you realize, and we have realized it quite some time ago, that there is a particular piece in my experience, which is my brain, we now know, that if I touch that, then consciousness itself seems to vanish. So there is this wonderful display, like this jungle here in which we are, and this conversation we are having, these people we are seeing, and I feel my body, and I sort of see things out of my eyes. And all of this, we now have come to believe, depends on something inside my skull, that if I knock it out, just as you said, sort of everything disappears. So in the great theater of consciousness, of experience, there seems to be one place inside here which is responsible for the theater itself. And that is, of course, what gave rise to the mind-body problem that Descartes sort of put out in the open quite clearly. So how is it that this little piece of furniture in the great assembly of the world inside my skull, irresponsible for the world itself? That is, in two words, the mind-body problem.